today we're gonna be doing a bit of a PowerPoint on a story that I've gone through, a bit of story of my life from depression to direction, how I've discovered some direction from being in a low place in my life. So we're going to dive deep into what I call Pain Island, and then Pleasure Island, and then how I actually got there using my boat, so to speak. And then I'm also going to be sharing 3 tools on how you can start creating your own boat to get from what your version of Pain Island is to your version of what Pleasure Island is. So I'll jump onto screen sharing and get this PowerPoint underway. Welcome, and I've also done the welcome here. Why are you here and what are your intentions? So thank you for being here and taking some time out. I really appreciate it. And today we'll be sharing mental health challenges, what I had gone through in the past and how I have come out on the other side. Like I said, discovering some direction and some purpose in life, and then the 3 tools to start building your boat. And then an offer at the end, a free gift, so to speak. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be free. I'm not a salesperson, so no pressure on anybody. So let's get to it. So this for me is Pain Island. For me, my Pain Island, I was depressed and directionless. In this place, I experienced anxiety and depression. The anxiety and the depression was a reaction to my past negative experiences with family dysfunction, with household stresses, and learning to be independent at such a young age, being brought up in a separated family. And this was just my reaction to it. It was what I experienced, and what I believe now, it was a choice to be in that situation. In that time, I didn't feel like it was a choice. It felt like the world was against me. This Pain Island was my life. I was put here, and there was no. I didn't even think it was an island. Honestly, I felt like it was almost like a cave. I was stuck in the cave. So it was a super difficult time being in this Pain Island, just constantly being suppressed by these negative emotions, negative feelings all the time. And for me, the depression led to anxiety. It led to addictive behaviors. Those addictive behaviors being substance abuse, money, as you see in the pictures there. I struggled with the addictive behaviors, and I used them as an escape from what I was going through, an escape from what was in my mind. I didn't know how to actually get out. It felt like it was, like I said, a cave. I didn't know where the exit was. There was no light at the end of the tunnel. And learning to work through this has been a process. But during the stage of addiction, it then led to suicidal tendencies. I struggled during the anxiety and the depression stages, escaped from it with the addictive behaviors using substance, and then it led to suicidal tendencies, which was a build-up. It was a step-by-step process, and it really affected me. It was super difficult being in that place for myself, and then also seeing others around me. A story that I'd love to share on that, if you guys are okay with, is the time where I attempted suicide. And this was December 5th, 2020. I was about 3 months out of school, and schoolies, which is our end of year celebration in Australia, happened. And I was drinking a week straight. And what I used to do when I drank was drink as much as I could until I would force myself to vomit. And this was a practice that I had for months and months and months. And it got to this one day. Why am I trying to escape? It's not serving me. Okay. I feel like I should change this. And the mindset that I was in was such a negative mindset. And what I decided was to just end everything. Stop trying to just run and to just remove myself from the situation at hand. And that night, it was at 10:57 p.m. I was drinking a bottle of Wild Turkey whiskey, and I decided to walk down to the dam that we've got down at our place, and I tied a noose. And I decided at that stage, I'm done. I don't have the energy to keep going. So I put it around my neck and leant on it. And I felt like at that stage, there was something inside of me where I knew I shouldn't go through with it. So at that stage, I leant into it and my whole body went numb. I lost oxygen and I lost sense of everything, partially because I was under the influence, but also because I was losing oxygen. And for me, there was a switch in my head that said, stop. I don't know who it was, what it was. There was something within me that said, stop. And I struggled to get out of that situation because I was under the influence and because I was choking myself. Getting out of that, I knew I needed to change. I called a friend at that stage and asked for some support, expressed what was going on. Still in the state I was, it was super, super difficult. And for me, this was my version of Pain Island. This was my version of almost the volcano erupting in my Pain Island. And at that stage, I knew it was time to change. We're going to now fast forward onto Pleasure Island. In Pleasure Island, for me, it's a nice, pretty island like this. It's actually the place I'm in now, which is super awesome. I've now managed my mental health challenges. By this, I mean I've managed my anxiety. I've managed my depression. I haven't healed it. I haven't cured it. I haven't found the cure, but I've learned to manage it. It's something that is going to be there, and learning how to implement tools that I can then manage and work with it rather than trying to fight it and go against it. I can then feel better and think better. And like up the top there, it says be better. Which by managing these mental challenges has also helped with managing my addictive behaviors. For example, the substance abuse rather than the substance use. There's nothing against addictive behaviors. It's just where that behavior is then output. For me, I love adventuring. So by learning and understanding my values within me and what I actually value in life and why I was trying to escape and also what I was trying to escape from, by going to the root cause of it, I can then learn to manage it. And instead of escaping from things, be whole and within life as an experience rather than as an escapism, if that makes sense. One thing that I've also got to the stage of is complete improved well-being. By well-being, for me, it means improved relationships. I've learned how to show up in life as a strong masculine man rather than somebody in Pain Island escaping and, for me, feeling weak within myself. By improved well-being, I also mean knowing where I want to go. This is why we're talking about direction. With direction, it means I have a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, a sense of knowing where I want to go. Learning from those previous experiences, not just putting them in the past and suppressing them, learning from them and failing forward is something that I've learned. By failing forward means, and it takes responsibility for me of what happened and then going forward. Instead of using the failures and the past negative experiences, and some people may call them traumas, as something that I would hold on like a rock. Think of a rock as a failure or a trauma or a negative experience in the past as a 10-kilo weight. We can hold one and then there's another one. Okay, 20 kilos. Yeah, we can do this. And then we've got 30. And all of that weight then adds up into this big clump. And for me, I can just use those rocks and those 10 kilos as stepping stones. Grab it. I can hold this 10 kilo for a bit. Amazing. Let's look at this, understand the situation. Now put it in front and step forward. And then I get another one. I failed again. Amazing. Look at it, understand it, learn from it, and put it forward. And failing forward consistently means that I'm taking, again, full responsibility of my failures, understanding them and learning from them, and then going forward, which is super amazing. It's great to be in a space of Pleasure Island. And I love it. I love it, honestly. And it goes back to thinking better to then be better. The thinking is something that is our choice within us, which requires less physical action taking. And then the being better is being. It's not doing, just being better within you, which then is projected out to everybody else you come into contact with. We're going to continue onto the boat, which is how we get from Pain Island, your version of Pain Island, my version of Pain Island, to your version of Pleasure Island, and to my version of Pleasure Island. So for me, my boat, what I needed was supportive people. And these pictures here are from a group of people that are my support. And they are great. What I've learned is to learn from people that are wanting to discover direction, people that are doing better for themselves. And this can be anybody. It doesn't have to be a massive group of people. It can be individuals. For example, my father, he is a supportive person. I've got people right now that are supporting me, that I would love to keep around me. And what I see supportive people as, for me, is to learn from their experiences, and we're all on the same level. There's no hierarchy or anybody's on a pedestal. We all bleed red. We're all on the same level. And we just want to work together, rather than one person being the footing or the foundation. We can each create a foundation and building blocks together. And that's so much more fun. I find it's so much more fun to learn from each other and grow together, because we are better together. And for example, thinking better together and then being better together, it just works. It's complementary to each other, and then it amplifies our growth as individuals. The other part of my boat is purpose. For me, purpose, what I've discovered, is something that is bigger than me, that scares the hell out of me. But I know it's meant for me, and it's my reason to wake up every morning. It's my reason that involves other people. It's my reason and my purpose that is so much more than just going to work. It's so much more than just making money. It's so much more than putting a smile on my face. It's something that includes so many people. And for this experience right now is my living purpose. It's turning my pain into purpose. It's turning my pain into passion. It's turning my pain into progress. And I'm now using an experience in my life to then teach others. It is so much bigger than just me. It's not just, I worked on myself, I got to Pleasure Island, amazing, good for me. It is bringing the whole of humanity together. It is something that causes a ripple effect by having conversation and sharing with you guys, by sharing on social media. It causes a ripple. I could talk to 10 people, and they each talk to 10 people, and they talk to 10 people, and they talk to 10 people. And now I've unintentionally influenced 100,000 people by just sharing. And for me, that is purpose. I may not ever meet those 100,000 people, but I know I have some effect of some sort. The other part of my boat is taking full responsibility. And this is harsh. for me, this is a step that is key. This is the hull to the boat. We can have the oar, we can have the mast, but if we don't have a solid hull, man, keep swimming. You know what I mean? Keep swimming. So by having a solid hull, by taking full responsibility, for me, means I'm responsible for attempting suicide. I'm responsible for self-harming. I'm responsible for the depression. I'm responsible for the anxiety. I'm responsible for every single thing that has happened in my life, because it is my choice to be there. It is my choice to show up. It is all my choice and my responsibility. And for this for me, it's a hard thing that I've wrapped around, but it just comes to taking full responsibility of everything in the past to now. And then what's so cool is for me, I've got responsibility for the rest of my life. I now have the choice for every single thing that happens in my life. That is all on me. And by having that power within me, I feel like that's so cool. Nothing's stopping me. It is all my choice. It is all my responsibility of how I show up, how I manage things, how my boat looks, how my pleasure island looks, how I feel. It's all on me. And that is the three tools. That is the three key parts of this boat. For me, this is what I used. We're going to now jump onto the tools that I feel have been key to actually keep going and to start. That's the thing. It may be overwhelming looking at this. How do I build my boat? Where's the support of people? What's my purpose? How do I take full responsibility? That's scary. Oh, wow, too much. But by going back to the start, and this is what I learned from my mentors, 3 super simple tools. And I'll just share quickly. When I first learned these tools, I kept them in my tool belt, even though they were very simple. At the time, I was getting in my head about things and feeling like I couldn't do it, and I didn't know how to do it. Is there a right way? Is there a wrong way? And now I've realized it's my tool belt. It's my way of doing things. There's no right or wrong way of implementing these tools. And they're super simple. It's now the choice for you whether you would like to implement them after I share them. So we'll jump onto gratitude. Gratitude for me is something that I constantly practice, whether it is a thought in my mind, whether it is a conversation at the dinner table. But by implementing gratitude, I can then appreciate what is around me. What I learned from one of my mentors is that we cannot be unhappy and grateful at the same time. We cannot be in a negative situation. We can't be feeling negative and feel grateful at the same time. By that, I mean, I can physically not be anxious and grateful at the same time. And what I have learned with gratitude is learning to be grateful for something that is negative. By learning to be grateful, for me, how to be grateful for anxiety, for example, I'm then grateful for that negative feeling, and I can use that as fuel to keep going. Use that to work through what is going on. But to bring it back to basics, by simply thinking, hey, what am I grateful for? I'd like to just invite you to drop into the chat what you're grateful for, whatever that may be. Whatever that may be. And there's no right or wrong way to do gratitude practices. One way that I feel is super easy is to use this, which is called the gratitude journal. Another thing that I learned from my mentor. And there's 2 QR codes there. that you're welcome to scan if you'd like to download the app. And the little photo on the left there is actually my journal that I first used when I was struggling with things. I would draw pictures. I would express what was going on in my mind. And for me, that was so much easier than communicating with a human. At that stage, I was lone wolfing everything. But by having my little friend, my little notebook, I could write, I could draw. There's no judgment. There's no hard feelings. There's no nothing. Nobody will find it. And that was a place that I could then express what is going on. Super cool to hear what everyone's grateful for. And that's what it is. It is the simple things that, for me, sometimes I take for granted, the things that I forget about. For example, living in the countries we do, we've got it a lot better than some places. And to remind ourselves daily, like this app will prompt you to do, you can then be invited into the space of thinking better and then being better. So we've got the links for those apps above there in the chat. And if you'd like to scan the QR code, and that is, I'm sharing that because so many people, we're so glued to our phones these days that sometimes it feels almost a pain to carry around a journal. But the journaling, for me, that is what has worked. I'm a visual learner. I got whiteboards everywhere. It works for me. I need the visual effects. I can draw, I can write, I can do whatever I want. But the journaling, what I find, I'll just quickly add, is that I can write something down. My brain is thinking what I'm writing, and then I can reread what I'm writing and then think about what I just wrote, rather than using my thumbs to type, where it's just brain to autocorrect and now it's there. It is a process that I can then use to release and to think about and to rethink. And then I can draw a little squiggly picture next to it. And that's even more fun. So the last tool that I'm inviting you guys to implement is the one thing practice. One thing a day, whatever that means. One thing a day that is challenging. One thing you don't want to do. One thing that you've been putting off for ages. Just one thing. And this book here, the One Thing by Gary Keller, is a more of a dive deep onto it. And for me, what I've taken from this book simply is, if I can complete one hard thing a day, whether that means a few hundred push-ups, whether that means a cold shower, whether that means drinking more water than I did yesterday. For me, what I feel, if I do absolutely nothing all day, but I complete that one hard thing, I had a successful day. If my mind really doesn't want to get out of bed, but I get out of bed for that cold shower, head there, have a cold shower, suffer a little bit, and jump back in bed, I'm good. I had a successful day. But learning from that, why did I feel like I needed to stay in bed all day? What was putting me off? But getting to the end of the day, feeling like an achievement was made, for me, that is then processing. It's a process forward. It is progress forward. And whatever that means to you, these tools are your tools. They're not mine. They're not my mentors. They've been brought down from so many different people. And this is what has worked for me. And you can decide to implement them into your life in your own way, doing your version of gratitude, whether that means around a table, doing your own way of journaling, whether that means getting a whiteboard, or whether that means painting your chalk or your wall with chalkboard paint, whether that means having a little notepad this big, or the app. And then also doing the one thing in your way, whether that's having a cold shower, whether that means giving one person a hug, whether that means sending that text that you haven't to that person. One thing to progress daily towards that purpose, that direction, that pleasure island, towards that vision, that thing that you strive for in life. And that is the end of my webinar. And what I'm inviting you into is a compass call with me, is to create some direction forward in your life, to learn how to get that boat and make it into your own boat. And the start is to then chat one-on-one. I can support you into the creation of that boat, and remembering when that wind comes and those currents change, it may be very difficult to keep going towards your pleasure island. So think of me almost as your rudder to keep going. Thank you for listening, guys. I really appreciate it.